Bir Mehusa Sheteres Hachassidus. Yeah, but the Rebbe right before in Eisis HaKabbalah in Lashon of the Maimer in Tafreshayin Hey, that Hachassidus is Amshacha from Ein Sof Nimtza B'Radlah. The Rebbe is going to explain it and what it means in Aved Sada more Mevar than the meaning. Bir Mehusa Sheteres Hachassidus. So Yuvhar will become clear at the Bir Technei Apnimi Shel Mashiach. Yeah, in Mashiach, the way it is up in Primis, you have Mashiach, the way it is up in Allah, the way it's brought in Nigle der Reise. But with it's verstehen the Mehusa Hachassidus, that from früher Mevar sein, the Technei Apnimi, could have Primis of Mashiach. Why? Because the klal is that we can, the Alter Rebbe is Lashon in Tanya, ki mischara shel mitzvah neida Mehusa. The schar of mitzvahs, that's the way we know the Mehusa the mitzvah. We can understand, have a idea the Mehusa the mitzvah from the schar of mitzvahs, because the schar is nimshach from the Mehus, from the mitzvah. The schar of mitzvah is that the mitzvah is going to be nizgala. The Zman Azayid is a mitzvah, so the Mehusa mitzvah, the Ratzna Alin of the mitzvah is not Meir Begoli. Schar mitzvahs is the reward that he gets. It's not like a regular reward. That it's not the reward is not his galus of the work itself. Person does work in a regular, and you get schar. Person gets paid, gets a reward for the work that he did. When Shikman get the schar mitzvahs, the schar stems from the mitzvah itself. That the Gilei HaMitzvah, that's going to be the schar. As much as we do the mitzvah, and it's not merit to us what we're accomplishing. Lasid Lavi, that the Mehusa mitzvah bin is gala. It says in Chassidus also when you get to Gan Eden, that the Hasagas Lakus that Neshama has in Gan Eden, that's a ha'ara from the Ratzin, from the Lakus that he was mamshach through the mitzvah. So the schar stems from the mitzvah itself. It says galus of the Mehusa mitzvah. So mainly from the schar, we could know the Mehus. Schar and the Mehusa. So what does that have to do when you get to Mashiach? Mikiva na sheyadei afatzas Inyona Hachassidus osimar the Malka Mashiach. So the schar of limud Hachassidus, and there was put in the brackets afatzas Hachassidus. So from that Inyan, the schar is going to be osimar the Malka Mashiach. So meil is verstandig. It's not al derech like the schar in Torah. Schar in Torah is not something. Is not a zaytik azach. It's not something else that you get as a reward for doing it. But it's this galus of the pu'ulavas mitgatan. The schar is the gilui in Isal. There's a here, Inyona and Mashiach, schara, neidas Mehusa. The Hemshech Hadron was going to explain how the Inyan of Afatzas, not only the etzim Inyan of Chassidus, gilui Hachassidus, limud Hachassidus, is Osimar the Malka Mashiach, because the Chassidus is the gilui of Mashiach. Mashiach is his galus of what Chassidus is. And the Rebbe is going to be masber later, what's the word afka of Afatzas HaMayonas. Why that's the Hadgosha, not just limud or other Inyona, but afka the being meifitzit, that we'll see later. So the Rebbe first goes into what's the Nukud of Mashiach, what's Mavur in them. So B'Biyas Mashiach is Chadshu Kama V'Kama Inyonim Nailim. Many Inyonim Nailim. But was like the Rebbe brought me to get to Chassidus before, that there's many Milas, which is brought me to get to Chassidus. So there's when you get to B'Biyas Mashiach, but it's Chadish Vern, Kama V'Kama, great Inyonim, not Stam Klinika. There's got Inyonim Nailim, but Allah became is not the Mehus. Ukumai Gulas Yisrael V'Ashchina Me'Agolas. So that's you don't go back to Eretz Yisrael, and Al Deras again. That's only there was not Geshir the Shechina, because enough Kibbutz Golius is not just the physical thing of Yidden going back to Eretz Yisrael. The reason why you have now many Yidden in Eretz Yisrael, it's not even a percentage of Kibbutz Golius. Al Pidin, it's not Nash of Kibbutz Golius. The Rambam says that Kibbutz Golius is going to be Dafka the Mashiach. And the fact that Yidden are going there, so that's not it's not the halachic musig of Kibbutz Golius. So the Parsha says you don't have all Yidden there. But also said in the Kudas Inyan, the Inyan of Gulas Yisrael is not just the physical thing Yidden going to Eretz Yisrael, but Yidden become are not Tachas Shibud Umasailam. And the Gulas Yisrael is connected to the fact that you have Gulas Ashchina min Agolas. That the Shechina is going to be Bezgalus in Eretz Yisrael. So that Inyan, you could have many Yidden going back. You don't have yet the Gulas Yisrael is not Mitzurif with the Gulas Ashchina. Yeah, there brings in the Gemara Megillah. Kadosh Baruch Hu Shavim Ben Agolas. Today, Elokus is Behelim, Elokus is Beis Almos, and La'asid Lavi Kibbutz Golius means not only Yidden are going to go back, but Yidden is going to be Meir, the mile of Yidden. The Yidden are connected to the Eibishter in a higher way, and they're the Makir, and Elokus is Gala through them. So the Emes Inyan of Kibbutz Golius, Gulas Yisrael, is going to be La'asid Lavi, Gulas Yisrael Vashchina. That's the Einzach. So in this Inyan, there's no new Inyan. There was once a state where Yidden were in Eretz Yisrael. This Inyan is going to be returned when Mashiach comes. The Mailim is which we didn't have even Bizvan Shahay Yisrael Shreim Alad Masam. But La'asid Lavi Dafka is going to be B'Meis Mashiach Yisrael Chachamim Deilim V'Yedin Dvarim Astumim V'Yasigu Das Beiram Molar Deis Hashem Chulu. So these Inyanim didn't exist B'Shman Sebis Mikdash Haykaim. Yidin will be Chachamim Deilim much in a higher even than that Yidin were ever in such a state. So that's a higher Inyan than Etzem Inyan of Gulas Yisrael V'Ashchina Min Agolas. That's a nachazach. That Inyan you see, so Chachamim G'delim is not an Inyan of Shinei Ateva. Yidden are going to be in the most perfect way, the most shleimus the Ka'ifin. Chachma and the Hasaga of Nivraim is going to be in the ultimate way possible. But that's not an Inyan of Shinei Teva Abriya, Shinei Menhag Shaleilam. Yidden, there's Chacham is Manazeh. The Chachma, the Asla is going to be in the Betachlas HaShleimus, which was never, even as much as the Shayakayim, but there was always a certain Hagbala in the Chachma of Yidden. Asla is going to be B'Shleimus. The Mailim Ezed will be a Shinei V'Chidush U'Maisa B'Reishis. There'll be a Shinei in Welt. It'll be a different Shinei. I mean, let's say the Gemara says, Asidin Ilan Yisrak Shiyetziu Peiris. So that'll be in Yadam of Shinei Hepech HaTeva. Or they're going to get in of Misa, going to get the Chayli, different things which today, Beteva, Bri, or Mechayev, certain things. La'asid Lavi, this Teva will be in his battle. The Rebbe brings in the order, even the Kinna, Sinna, V'Tachrus, that's also in of Shinei Minhage, Chidush HaMaisa. Since that Teva Elam itself, so each person, there's an Inyan of Kinna, Sinna, V'Tachrus. There's an Inyan of one Mitzias that's still to another Mitzias. The fact that La'asid Lavi, there won't be any Kinna, that's a Shinui, a Chidush HaMaisa B'Reishis. The Teva Bri Mitzad Atzma, Teva Nivrei Mitzad Atzma, is naif in that one Metzias is Seiser to another one. So the fact that that's going to be bottled, that's a Shinui in Maisa B'Reishis. That's a higher Inyan than Yisrael Chacham did. Yeah, then it brings in there's artists here, the Pnim. Masha Amru Ibn Elam Hazil Mesim Sheikh Al-Shiur Malchis Bilvad, and that's the way the Rambam paskins. There's Machlekes in Gemara. If all the Yehudim which are brought in Sifra Nevim is that dealing with Yemesim Mashiach, or maybe that's lost. That's this. There's two shlavim. I mean, L'Kul there's two shlavim. There's the Zman of Yemesim Mashiach, and then there's the Elef Hashvi. That's Kibbul Schar, the Elam Atchiyah. And they have the Machlekes, the Rambam, and the Ramban. What's going to be the ultimate? According to the Rambam, the Zman of Yemesim Mashiach is not the ultimate schar. L'Kul is not the ultimate schar. The question is, what is the ultimate schar? According to the Rambam, after Yemesim Mashiach and Elef Hashvi, there's going to be the Bittul Elam, Chat Chruv, and there's going to be the Yichud HaNeshama with the Eibishter. It won't be the Tachlis Ha'ili is going to be that the neshama is going to be detached from the guf, and it's not going to have the hakbalas haguf, and we'll have it vekus and asagas alakus without the hakbalas of the guf. That's the ultimate schar. That's the elam atchiyah, which is going to be nimshach v'efen nitzchi. Mashiach, according to the Ravid, the zman hatchiyah kula am elam haba means the elef hashvi is the zman aschar, which is not agdar b'mis Mashiach. And in that zman, so that's going to be, according to the Ravid, it's going to be tchiyas amesim and yidden are going to be neshamas begufim v'efen nitzchi. But that's when you get to the Elam Atchiyah. But the shaila is there's many haftachas in the Nevim. So the question is that those haftachas, are they going on the Zman of Yemesa Mashiach, or it's speaking about Elef Hashvi, the Zman of Schar? So there's Machlekes in Gemara. So according to the Rambam Paskins, that Bizman as Elam Kamen Hageneg, the Rambam brings this member of Shmuel, that Ein Ben Elam Hazel Yemesa Mashiach, there won't be any difference besides for Shibud Malchis Bavad. It means the only difference is going to be is the Bizman as Yidin are Tachas Shlita Sumas Elam. Mashiach and La'asid Levi will be Tachas, Yidin won't be Tachas the Shibud of Malchis Sumas Elam, but Malchus Yisrael and Malchus Apiteira, not Stam Yidin which are going to be Malachim, but a Malchus Yisrael Shal Piteira, Malchus David HaMelech, which is going to be a Malchus Apiteira, the way it should be a Melech, and representing the Malchus Shemayim, so that's going to be the Shelit, La'asid Levi. But there won't be any Shinu, all the Yehudim which are brought in Kisvei HaNevim, that's not Benegeti Yemesa Mashiach. That's a different man. So but the Rebbe is bringing here that the Kula Alma, lost that is going to be a Shinu v'chidish ma'aseh bereishis. The Rebbe wants to learn that the Kula Alma, these are not in Inyona which are Talib Machlekes. The Kula Alma Mashiach is going to come before the Zman of Elef Hashvi. The Zman of Yemesa Mashiach is going to be a chidush ma'aseh bereishis. The Gemara says in the Rambam Paskins this way, that Ein Ben Elam Hazel Yemesa Mashiach l'shibud malchis b'vad. Yes, some don't paskin like this memra. According to the Ravid, the halacha is not like Shmuel. According to the Ravid, there is going to be a difference in Elam Hazel and Yemesa Mashiach. And lastly will be Garzevim Keves, and all the Yehudim Mashabrat and Sifra Nevim are going to be Kipshutam, and it's going to be Yemesa Mashiach. So what the Gemara says, there won't be a difference between Elam Hazel and Yemesa Mashiach is not allowed, but the Rebbe is saying L'kulam, even according to the Rambam. So the Rebbe brings here that more riches in the hardest, but the Rebbe is saying in the Pnim that the fact that the Gemara that the Rambam brings la'alacha that there's no difference between Elam Hazel and Yemesa Mashiach, the only difference is going to be Shibud Malchis, that'll be Mimshalas Yisrael, but that's only B'tchilas Hazman Shel Yemesa Mashiach. Means in the Yemesa Mashiach Gufa, there's two Tkufas. There's going to be this man. There's with there is Masbrit in the more bepratis in the Sikh of Sikh B'Chukaisa. Patients today Elam gedenkt der Sikh nicht, but in the Sikh B'Chukaisa it's in the Sikh Taf Chelik Chav Zayin. So there is Mevar there that there is what Mashiach is going to accomplish in the world. There's going to be was Melech HaMashiach darf uftan. Melech HaMashiach is not going to accomplish anything besides for Shibud Malchus. That the Malchus Yisrael, Malchus of Torah is going to be the Malchus that's going to be Shelit. But there won't be any his job is not to affect the Shinui Chiddush Ma'aseh Bereishis. In the later Tkufa, there is going to be Shinui Ma'aseh Bereishis, but not as a direct result of the Pu'ul of Mashiach. I don't know if from the way the Rebbe is mashma here, in this, that's the Rebbe is mevar in the Sikha, if you remember. You mitzvah gedenkt das, or Elam Zeichem Azam Esarzach. This is the Rebbe's mevar for a few stirs, that according to the Rambam, there's a difference between what Melech HaMashiach's job is, what his inyan is. His inyan is to be pile that all mitzvahs HaTorah should be in the sky and b'shleimus, but his inyan is not to make any shina and chiddush and ma'aseh bereishis. And that's when you get to Melech HaMashiach himself. And when the Rambam is describing in Periket Beis how the world's going to be Mashiach comes, he speaks all the Eilam La'asid Lavi, the way it is as a result of Mashiach's Pu'ula, Mashiach's Hashpah. So since Mashiach's in that the Rambam brings a raya from Ben Kuziva, that Rebbe Kiva had angenommen that he's Mashiach, and again they didn't ask him for any raya, any echach. He's able to be Mekayim, he's able to do things l'malim b'derech hateva. So the Rambam brings a raya from there. The Mashiach doesn't have to do anything which is shini in teva. Doesn't have to make any eisam efes, which is in of nes. So the Rambam speaks in Sefer Hayad how the world's going to be as a result of Mashiach's hashpah in Welt. So since Mashiach himself is not, the Rambam brings a raya from Bekaziva, he doesn't have to do any Inyona, which are shinim and Shel Eilam. So al derech zeh the matzav ha'elam as a result of the hashpah of Mashiach is not mechayev a shinim and Shel Eilam. The poil there's going to be a shini, but not as a result of Mashiach's pula. In Zman it's going to be a later Zman, and has nothing to do with Mashiach's pula. That's going to be a separate thing. There's going to be a shini ma'aseh bereishis, even before Elaf Hashvi, even according to the Rambam. But what the Rebbe wants to bring out here, what the Rebbe's medame, I'm just saying, what the Rebbe's medame here, Mashiach, the Chassidus, the Rebbe is speaking about Mashiach himself, not going to get to the state of the world, that's the mashmos. So from the way the Rebbe brings it here, the Ma'atz Mashma, that even the Inyona that in a later Zman there's going to be a Shinim and Shel Eilam is also as a result of Mashiach's Pula, not the way it's in the Sikha there. Yeah, but that's not first name Mazunda. But here the Rebbe is saying, not going into the pratis the columns the way it says it there. Here it's more that Mashiach is also going to accomplish Bias Mashiach. That's the Adgashi here. What the Rebbe is learning here that Mischar and Neida Mahusa, the Schar of Hafaz Hachassidus is Asimar, Bias Mashiach. So from understanding what the Mahusa of Mashiach is and what his coming means, we're going to understand what Hachassidus is, because Adei Hafaz Hachassidus Asimar the Malka Mashiach. So the way the Rebbe learns in the Sikh and Bechukay said that the Shinim and Shel Eilam is going to be nothing to do with Asimar, nothing to do with Mashiach's Luftu. That's going to be the Eibush is going to make changes in the world, not through Mashiach's Hashpah. That's the parshas of that Sikha. So the fact that to be a Shinim Ma'aseh Bereishis has nothing to do with Asimar. That's another Inyan, the Pashtus. But the way the Rebbe is learning here is that Mashiach's Inyan is also going to be Bebias HaMashiach is also going to be in his Chadish a Shinim and Shel Eilam in Teva Abriya. The Rambam says there won't be any difference. So that's only in the beginning of this man of Bebias HaMashiach. But when the Shleimus Hashpah of Mashiach is going to be a Shinim and Shel Eilam. As is the Mashmos. Good. So this is the Sefer Hayad. Befrat api ma shekosev beram. So dort steht that this the Alter brings it in Tanya, this Raimem. Shemaimer zen nemer benegel am Yaretz mashig benegel tamid chacham. Raimem steht that this what it says in Chazal that la'asid love there won't be any shinuyim, it will only be shibud machis, but that's benegel am Yaretz mashig benegel tamid chachamim. There will be a shim Haggash Shel Eilam right bas cholas azman. Okay, there's pratim here, but let me refer durg the so that's the dritte Sache is going to be there's going to be a shini v'chidush in Ma'aseh Bereishis. Shinim and Haggash Shel Eilam. That's the third thing. The fourth thing is was far b'china lukus vet mehr seine Welt. So b'china sel lukus shel ma'ale ma'teva yiyah az b'gilui. There's not bisman as the only dargen lukus which could be nisgala today in Welt, could have the mitzvah Welt in a way there's a helen behester. But even bisman abayis, let's say, where there was a seseinu re'inu, there was nisgala lukus, but which b'china lukus is able to be nisgala in Eilam was only a dargen of a lukus which is connected, which is be'erech the mitzvah Eilam, which is mulubish in Teva. Mashiach the dargen of lukus which is higher than Teva, the shem avayi which is higher than the akbalas of Welt. So that was Nelam, even bisman that there was gilui lukus in Welt, but the b'china of shem avayi was only begali in Kedesh HaKadoshim. But b'chol Eilam kulei, the only dargen of lukus that was bizgalus means even when there's no helen behester. And the Mitzvah Sa'elim is Megale, Elokus, which is the Chayis of Welt, but only that Dargav Elokus, which is Melubish in Gidri Abriya, in Teva Eilam. But the B'chin of Elokus, which is higher than Teva, which is higher than Zman, higher than Mokim, the Dargas Ein Sof, so that's not Meir Begali. Mashiach Lasid is going to be Meir Begali. Shelechein Yu Keirin Es Hashem Kiksavi. It says that Lasid Lavi, not only in the Beis Hamikdash, B'chol Elam Kulei, there's going to be Keirin Es Hashem Kiksavi. We'll read the Shem Havai, the Shem HaMfurish. There would not be Shem Akine, the way not Adnai, the way we pronounce it now, but Kiksavi. Why? Because what's Takat Pshat? And then why Bisman Azeh? There's only Kriyas Hashem Kiksavi in the Mikdash. So that's because Kibchol Elam Kulei Yugilib B'Chem Havai Hayiv Yekechad Shel Malim is Manamak. But Dugma say Yugilib Shev Yisam Mikdash. You know the reason why there's an Isser to be Keres Hashem Kiksavi. Ksavi means you have the Inyan is there, but you can't call it out by his galus. It can't be Bigoli. That's the word Kriya. Ksiva, the Etzem Inyan is Faran Velt. There is the Shem Havai. Even as Manazeh, you have Shem Havai, which is the Chayis Ilmas Neveah from Seif Kalam. But that Chayis in Velt, which stems from Seif Kalam, that can't be Begili. It means Mekenes Shleinen. When it's Bizgalus, it's through a Kinu, through a Levush of Adnai, but not with Shem Havai Kiksav. Shekin Lasid Lavi, that Shem Havai will be Begili, will be able to be Kaira, the Shem Havai Kiksav. So that's the marker that Pchinas Al-Kush Al-Malam Atavi is going to be then Begili. So that's each inner that I mentioned here. This is Inyonim Nailim V'Neflim. This is Ikaris Dikashinuim, not just small little Zaitika changes. Essential differences. The whole Metzias Elam is going to be in a different Eifen. Golas Yisrael V'Ashchinim Me'agolas, and you have Yidna Gebi, the ultimate perfect state of Chachma, and then the Indian of Shini Ma'aseh Bereishis, and the fact that it's going to be a whole different Chayis Avot. Today, what's Begoli is Dargas Elokus of Gvul, and La'asid Lavi B'Mesim Mashiach will be Begilui, the Bligvul of Elokus. So that's Inyonim, which are Inyonim Nailim Ha'id. Not only in Elam Hazagashmin, all Elamis, call Elamis Ayenim. Why? Because on Haga, Elam Asal Yenim, Kfi Satan on Haga, Elam Hazah. So if an Elam Hazah is going to be a Shini Ma'aseh Bereishis, if Elam Hazah will be Chachamim, that means the Metzias Elam is going to be B'Shleimus in the most perfect way, and there's going to be Shini Ma'aseh Bereishis, and there's going to be Gili of the B'chinas Ablikvul V'Alakus. So there's Elam Asal Yenim, which they function according to the way Elam Hazah functions. Elam Hazah is the root. That's the purpose why all the Elam Asal Yedim are here. So the way Elam Hazah functions, all Elam function the Fi'erech Elam Hazah. So in Mele, there is Al Derech HaKviyas Yeshchedesh U'Me'edim, Shebehem Nimshach Teisvis L'Mayla, not only Lamata, and a Yom Tov Ha'Mayit, so there's a special Gilei L'Kus. Bizman of Yeshchedesh, Bizman of a Yom Tov, in Elam Asal Yedim, there's a Teisefes Gilei L'Mayla. And the Zman of the Yom Tov is Dikba according to the way Bezdin's Kaveh Lamata, when Rish Chedesh is. You don't say that L'Mayla, P'snei Elam Asal Yedim, the Zman of Rish Chedesh should be a different Zman, not the way the Bezdin's Kaveh Lamata. Even though Yom Tov is negeh Sai Lamata for Yidden over here, and Sai Yom Tov is negeh L'Mayla chveis Gehenim is closed certain times. V'shidin Shinui Zmanim Neil Masayenim. But the Zman of Yom Tov Rish Chedesh is nikba according to the way Rish Chedesh is Aydei Bezdin Shalmata. For us, Ida Sazeh, because the Seder of Elam Masayenim is nikba according to the Seder of Elam Hazeh. That's the. So Mela Punkt Aziv Lamata v'Zayin Shinui in all these Shinui that I were about before. There's a Zayin when they get Elam Masayenim. Kivan shebis Mashiach yishtane klolos hamatzav be'elam hazeh u'protov. So the shinu digmos yeh gam be'elam asal yen. Let me meir the gezach mas zayim shas Mashiach wird kommen. Amnem achri kol anal kol inyanim eile. Af shegadol v'rav ha'ili v'aflosh b'em enim ele stafos min nekudas yikr shel Mashiach. That's what I'm going to say. Was besteht? Rebbe saying api pnimi se inyan. What's the mohus of Mashiach? What's he introducing? A yid that's going to have the bekayach to be megalech elukush malim ederech hateva. He has the yecheles to be mamshir that the elukush malim itev shem avai should be nizgal. So that's nicht in dem besteht the mohus of Mashiach. He's going to be peil shini ma'aseh bereishis. That'll be peil the inyan of kibbutz golius. Nicht in dem besteht the mohus. The mohus is an andere Sachen ganz. And all these numbers that I mentioned before is only an outcome. Once Mashiach is here, whatever the Mahus of Mashiach is, which is Shalei Berach higher than these Inyonim, once this Mahus is in his Gala and he's effective in Welt, b'meile v'shen al zayin anders. That's going to be b'derech meile dikatetza. Not that this Mahus is his Inyan is to accomplish these things. This Mahus, the Mahus of Mashiach, is a whole different Inyan Ganzen. Once you have this Mahus, automatically you have all these results. Let's get to Zim. The artist will do later. Unless it's done später. We'll go through the Gufeine. Inyona Yikr Shel Mashiach Yechida. And was besteht the Mahus Mashiach is Pchinas Yechida. Steht in Kabbalah, it's brought in Chassidus, it's from the Ramaz, Yedua, that Azevi when you get to the Gufa Adam, the Adam is an Elam Katan Zeh Adam. So there's when you get to the person, so there's the Nefesh which is Mechai the Guf, and there's 5 dargis in the Neshama. 5 dargis. There's nefesh, ruach, and neshama chaya yichida. So al derech zeh benegeh to the elam gadol. The elam gadol is like a guf gadol, and the Eibishter is mechavat and mechayis kul. The Eibishter is called the nefesh elam. Ma nesham, the Gemara, ma nesham malis aguf. Kacha katish baruch hu malis. The Eibishter is mechayah the world, be'if in the way the neshama is mechayah the guf. So the same way when you get to the neshama, you have 5 dargis. Nefesh, ruach, neshama chaya yichida. Al derech zeh when you get to the hamshachas alakusin welt. The fact that the Eibishter is the makar achayis of elam is there's 5 dargis in the Eir Leki, which is machayah the welt. Never shuach neshama machayah yichida. And the Rebbe brings from Kabbalah that you have different tzaddikim, different Gdei Yisrael, that they were mamshich, and each one was mamshich another one of these 5 pchinas in welt. David the Rebbe brings it. So it's kedua state in Kabbalah that David zacha l'pchinas nefesh. It says that David once David became a melech. So Malchus is Yerusha Lo Elazari Ad Olam. It's not that David the Melech was a melech and that's it. David the Melech's Malchus is in a way that he made that there's a mishpachas amlucha. There's a kabiyach royal blood. There's a mishpacha that has the tchuna of mlucha la'ad elam elam. So he, till then, the Inyan of Malchus Yisrael, which is B'chinas Nefesh in Sheirish Lamayla, wasn't nimshach yet in Elam Hazah. It was nela. So a person has a keich in his nefesh, but it never became part of his keiches agluim. It was never established in his guf. The nefesh has shlemas. You have a summa that has shlemas hakeiches also, but the keich is in a state of hell, the previous nefesh. It wasn't his gala. So the pchina, that fact that the Eibishter is the pchinas hanefesh of Elokus, it's almost given that there's 5 dargis in the chayis in the Eir Leki, but the darg of nefesh wasn't a part of Elamis. Wasn't established. It didn't become nikpa in Elamis. Through David the Melech, David zachol the pchinas nefesh, he was mamsheh the pchina of nefesh, and that should be nimshach in the bria, and that stayed forever. There was a tchuna of Malchus was nikba bezera David ad elam, even if there's no melech lepayil, but there's the tchuna samlucha bezarim shel David. So the Inyan of Malchus, the Malchus of Elokus, which is pchinas nefesh, was nimshach in welt through David the Melech. Al derech Eliyahu was zachol pchinas ruach. It's not only that they were shaykhs to this Inyan, and b'shas they were alive, they had this, and then it was this battle. They were mamshech in welt, these Inyanim. The B'china of Ruach, Meishel Neshama, Odom Rishon L'chaya, Mashiach, the B'china of Yechida, that was never nimshech in welt. The Ufta of Mashiach is going to be that he's going to be Yizka L'Yechida. Evet Alein Zayin, the B'china of Yechida. B'china of Yechida, Shel will be Meir by him, and he's going to be mamshech in welt. He'll bring it, Bias of Mashiach means that this Mahus will be in his Gali in welt. So what's this Mahus? B'china Yechida. So das steht in Kabbalah that Mashiach Yiske lebchinas yichida. The brings it from the Maimon Tafir Sadik Tes. It says Hine Yaskel Avdi Yarden V'Nisa V'Gav Ma'id. So there's different lashonis there. So in Kabbalah state that it goes on different pchinas. And Mashiach is going to be Ma'id even higher than other religion. That's pchina of yichida. Das steht in Kabbalah. So is the Rebbe hebt on reden.
Say there it goes up in the time. David, Eliyahu, Nesha.
Yeah, I'm saying ich weiß nicht Punkt Pratim, but you say Adam Rishon L'chaya, for example, you're saying L'chora Adam Rishon should be the... But I'm saying, but the Sheirish of Kol Neshamis Yisrael, the Pearls was Nimshach through Adam Rishon. The Klal of all Neshamis. The Alter Rebbe Neshama Chadash is Nachazach, but all Neshamis were Nichlal and Nishmas Adam Rishon. So Adam Rishon was the Sheirish Mokra of Neshamis Yisrael. At the end of the day, was Behelim, La Davka Adam Rishon B'chlal, Punkt, what was Meir Begoli by him. But all the shamas were nichlal in the tzir came of Adam Rishon, as it states. So that's the sheirish of shamas Yisrael was an Adam Rishon. That's b'chin of chaya, huh? That's a high Inyan. You have to see what it says when you get to chaya. But I'm saying lav dafke I'm saying we don't know what does it mean that these tzaddikim were mamshach these Inyanim? Listen, nicht as yeah. So Mishla Neshama, so Mishla was mamshach Torah in Welt. And that's, but could be. I'm saying could be. I'm never saying in my mind. What's the figure is mevayer in Tafir Sadik Tes. So Malas so is the gate to the Rebbe mevayer zayin that from the fact that it says in Kabbalah the Mashiach is b'chinas yichida from them zetmen that these inyanim nefloin that were mentioned before the Mashiach is going to accomplish v'shinim and hagish shaleilam tivishal devarim that doesn't capture what Mashiach is. That we'll see. Shalei be'erech legami. Das hebt er in Mevarze. Malas hayichida al da'at b'chinas nefesh shuch neshama chaya. B'chamisha, the first that brings a dugma, what's the mile of yichida over the da'at b'chinas nefesh shuch neshama chaya? And when we're speaking about the dugma from the nefesh pratis, from the neshama pratis, b'chamisha madreges shel kol neshama. Each neshama has these 5 madreges. The uftu b'neget to Mashiach is going to be the yichida klolis of klolis eshtalshalus. But every single person in the neshama mechayes aguf, there's 5 dargas. So in was besteht der Meile von Yechida legabe the dad abchines never shuch neshama chayim. So da iftan the Rebbe reden that there's a chiluk mehusi between them. It's not just that Yechida is another level. It's a different on a different caliber legamri. So dad abchines never shuch neshama chayim madrigas pratis. Inyona pratim. Bchines Yechida yi etzem neshama shel mal migad pratim. Kishma. There was gleich 2 Sachen, was going to be his geteish. So the first thing is the dad madrigas never shuch neshama chayim are pratis dike keiches, let's say. Let's say nefesh is lebusha, machshava dibra ma'isa, and ruach is midis, neshama is seichel, and chaya is ratzin. That's not, there's the muhus hanefesh, the etzem, which is the source, which is the one that, the carrier of all these keiches, let's say, the etzem hanefesh, and then there's the keiches pratim. The etzem is not just, it's not another level. That's the muhus, which is the one that's the makar, which is kailal all these, which is the one that possesses ratzin, the one that possesses seichel, one that possesses midis. So nefesh och neshama chaya, that's all different tchunas, different keiches that the nefesh possesses. There's a sadasha between them. Each one is a keich the nefesh possesses. Masha'ink and yichida is not another darge, another eichos that the nefesh possesses. That's the etzem of the neshama. That's the mohos, which is the one that's nice to everything else. That's the first one. The Rebbe also brings in here, as if we can say that there's nefesh och neshama, there's 5, let's say there's seichel, let's say chaya is ratzin in the mashal, in the nefesh adam. Chaya is ratzin, shel ma'ale mitam v'das, and then there is seichel, then there is midis, then there's machshava dibur ma'isa. See, and what's the etzem nefesh? The etzem nefesh is the klal of everything. His mahus is that he's the carrier of everything. So the Rebbe brings here, etzem neshama, shel ma'ale migeder pratim. But the etzem neshama is not just, the etzem neshama is not the carrier, not the klal, which is the one that's the makar for all these 4 inyanim. The etzem neshama is in a different category. All these keiches are all inyana pratim. They're specific inyana pratim, keiches pratim. Seichel is davar prati, davar mitzuyir, davar mugbal. Mashegin the etzem is pashat with hachassidus. The etzem itself is not in the same category of tzir. He's beyond the whole musig of tzir. He's pashat with hachassidus. We're saying the word pshitis. It's not, the word is not pshitis. The word is that he's not shayches to the whole musig of definition, the whole category of pratim. Shalmale migeder pratim. Kishma. What are you calling yechida? What Amazok the word yechida vazumla is bringing? If the makar of the neshama, if the neshama's definition was that the etzem is the carrier, he's the makar, he's the klal for all these things. There's the seichel, there's ratzin, and the nefesh is the klal for everything. Then there's a yachas, there's a erech between the makir, between the etzem and the keiches. If there's a similarity, or there's a hashva between the nefesh and the keiches, then the nefesh is not yechid. Yechid means, you say, ben yachid, he's the only one. There's no one else. Yechid means that she's her own, how do you say it, a singular being. Ein zikazach. So ein zikazach, if the makar nefesh has a relationship to seichel, and her agdara is that she's the makar of seichel, the cloud of seichel, then she's not yechida. Then there's pchinis, there's inyanim which are be'erech the neshama. When you say yechida, means that the etzem neshama is a singular thing. There's no comparison to it in the keiches and the inyanim which are nizgala from the neshama. As you say, that's what it brings here. Pchinis yechida etzem neshama shel ma'ale migeder prati, which is higher than the whole category of an inyan prati, of a tzir prati. Whether tzir prati is sales higher than the whole musik of gvul of a tzir prati. Kishma, as meruf to run yechida. Yechida means that she's a einzika. Einzika means if there's a relation to other things, and there's other things that could express through seichel, you could have a izgalus of what the neshama is. Then the neshama is not yechida. She's not. Then the etzem neshama is not moved legamri. She's not a singular. There's plural. This inyan could be expressed in seichel and chachma and bina and das. She's not yechida means there's no comparison to it. The etzem neshama is its own category in ganzen, and there's no erech to the etzem neshama in the keiches in the keiches shan izgala from the neshama. Let's get to Bissel Fernando Klein. So the Rebbe says, "Ime yois asher mchinis yechida," which is the etzem neshama. Here in this Rebbe saying yechida means etzem neshama, not another darg in the neshama. The yechida means the etzem, means the pnimius and mahusa inyan. Even though the etzem neshama is the mocker. So the Pashas Avana is that if it's a makir, that means from the neshama stems seichel amidis. That means that seichel amidis have a certain value legabi the nefesh. If from the etzem neshama vert keich haseichel, that means that through keich haseichel is a certain expresses somehow the mahos neshama. So if you come a zagen that it's pchinas yechida, that it's lemay lemigeder pratim. So those are the Rebbe that the fact that the dal pchinas nefesh neshama chaya stem from yechida is not like the regular way an inyan is nevea from a makir. אז אין זה שבחינת היחידה היא בגדר מוקר וכלל לפרוטים אלו. כלושן יחידה מאיר על אחדוס פשוטה, המשללת מאיזה שייכות לפרוטים, גם מגדר מוקר לפרוטים. כדויב שאני אחד לאחד. לא שתית נחסידס, that you have one eifin, let's say, in Seichel, you have many dogmas like that you have the mocker, like say Seichel, for example. So the etzem husa Seichel, you have many types of chachmas. It's chachmas atchuna, chachmas hanefesh, chachmas hamaisa, you have verschiedene chachmas. Then you have the etzem chachma. Not the way chachma is a certain form of chachma. This type of Seichel or that type of Seichel. You have the keich Seichel, that's a potential for any way of understanding. The etzem husa chachma, not the way it's limited in a certain form of seichel ba'asaga. The etzem husa chachma, which is not the etzem husa inyan before the agdara of vasfara seichel, and from this keich yuli, which is a makkah for any type, which is doesn't have a tzir prati of seichel, von kommt alle ifanim from verstehen. All different types of chachmas come from there. Yeah, there's the etzem keich chachma, not the way it's mislabish and a prat of this type of chachma, that type of chachma. The keich chachma, the way it is b'mkeri v'sharshe, the etzem husa. So that's called a klal. That's, you can't say that the seichel, the way the seichel is a chachmas atchun or chachmas acheshbin, has no erech klal legabe this etzem keich chachma. There's erech. I mean, this is just the way it's connected to a certain tzir prati. This is the same mahus, the way it is in a more general way, not the way it's narrowed down to one specific way of understanding. But there's an erech between the titzah to the makir, and the makir is a klal. The makir is the resource. It's not you have every Indian the way it's materializes lepoil in a certain seichel and was dimensional ma'ayin. Then you have the makar hakeich. The makar is not mitzuyer, the same tziyur that the seichel, that the keich seichel, when it's in slavish proteus is mitzuyer. But he's the makar for that. It means he's the Inyona the way it is in a makar state. But in the Inyona the way it is in a makar state, there's an erech to the way the Inyan is mizgal. This is the prat and this is the klal of the Inyan. Mashiach etzem anasham is not that there's nefesh ruach neshama chaya. And then there is, so that's 4 forms, let's say, of there's seichel, and there's machshav dibra ma'aseh, and then there's ratzon, different efanim in the keiches nafshim, and the nefesh is the kayach, the way it is in the klol is the way, like not mugbal in this tzir prati, but is also a certain function that has a dimion to these, and these inyanim are being mefaret the general kayach nefesh. Like the Rebbe Snishta, if it would be in such a eifin that the nefesh should be a klal. And the Inyanim of Ratzin, Seichel, Amidas, Machshav Dibur Ma'aseh are this klal in a more pratis dekaifin, then there would be an erech, then it's not Yechida. Then it's part of the same category as the Keiches. It's just this Inyan in a more general form, in the form of a makir. Not that it's Yechida, it's a totally singular entity that's in a different caliber legamri. So the fact that you're calling Yechida means that the Etzem Anasham is Be'etzem Mufshit. He's B'chlal not in this realm of Seichel, Amidas, and Ratzin. He's a different Inyan Ganzen. He's not Sheiches to Tzir at all. They're saying something else. Since the etzma nefesh is the mehusa nefesh without any tzir, not shaykhs to any tzir, but meile anything could come from it. If the neshama was shaykhs to inin of prat, inin of tzir, so then in order for these 4 inyanim to come from the nefesh, you have to say that the tzir hanefesh contains within itself, or is the klal of these 4 inyanim. Let's say these 4 inyanim, the way they are in a general way, is the etzma nefesh. So then, if something is a davar mitzuyir, a davar mugbal, in order for it to be a makar for something, the thing that he's a makar for has to have an erech to them. He has to contain that in you. But if the nefesh is l'mayla migeder pratim, he's not shaykhs to the whole category of tziyur. He's not shaykhs to the whole category of gvul of a tziyur prati. So he has no definition. If he has no definition at all, so can come and out for him. So a different way of being on. As the Rebbe touches up over here. It says, "Ein zeh shebchinas hechida is begeder makar uklal pratim elu." Ki'im something else. She nekuda atzmis shel neshama. That's the nekuda atzmis means the etz means the Inyan. An etz we want to bring out the nekuda atzmis means it's not a nekuda which is a davar mitzuyir, not a davar mugbal. It's a mohos beyond the whole idea of definition. The way we know mitzias is every mitzias has to have a certain definition of what the hagdara of this thing is. What it's a davar ruchni, a davar gashmi, a zasar tzir, a tzveta tzir. A nekuda atzmis is a mohos without any form. The idea of it, that this mohos needs to have a definition of how it exists. Is it edel? Is it geshem? Is it ruchni? Is it this? Is it that? That category doesn't exist in a nekuda atzmis. Nekuda atzmis, it's a mohos without any form of being. So if there's no form of being to this mohos, no definition at all to this mohos, so b'meile can out sein von him. So this mohos could express itself in any way. Not that this way has to relate, has to have an erech to the market. Since the Makar, let's say, speaking to get to the Neshama. So the Neshama is Kashas Talakus, being connected to the Eibishter. So Nefesh Ruach Neshama is being connected to the Eibishter in a form of Machshava Dibur Ma'aseh. Being connected that L'Poel Mamish, you're totally dedicated to the Eibishter. And Ruach is Av Yira to the Eibishter. And Seichel Chachma is a certain vekus of Seichel to the Eibishter. And then there's Ratzon Shema Metamedas. And what's Etzem HaNefesh? Connected to the klal of all these forms of connections. They were saying the Etzem HaNefesh is connecting to the Eibishter with the mohus of being connected to the Eibishter without a form. The idea of in what type of mitzias is this connection? The idea of what type of mitzias doesn't exist. It's the etzem mohus of dveikus talukos without any agdar of how and what. If I state the meaning. So if you have the mohus of keshet of dveikus to the Eibishter on a taich, so b'meila there could be any if, and you could have hasagas talukos, not because he's be'erech havanas hasagas talukos. If you have the union of dveikus v'skashas talukos without any definition. B'meila, if something has no definition at all, savadis, so any form of dveikus, any form of kasher you're going to have from the etzem hanasham. But not because these things express what the etzem hanasham is. It's the etzem ha'inyan without any hagdara of imvas fara'ifin. So it's the mahus, let's say, nesham is kasher talakus. So in Ivraim, how do you define this kasher? How does this, it's a kasher ruchni, is it a kasher gashmi? It's this form of dveikus, that form of dveikus. The idea of form doesn't exist. The idea of in what type of way that hagdara exists in a nekuda atzmis. This is the mohus of yichud with the Eibishter without a taich. Verstehe the meaning? Vibal that you have the meaning of yichud with the Eibishter on a taich without any definition at all. There's no definition at all. B'meile nimtzois. In Elam Hazeh, you have 4 general ways of connecting. In Elam Hazeh, connecting to from a 4 general types of dveikus. Never shoch neshama chay. Since the primius hanasham is yichut elukus without the whole category of definition of how and what, so a mele is not mushlo. There could be any type of dveikus which exists in the world, but mele, but the neshama havenas. Not that these inyanim express it. Does like the Rebbe though.
But neshama is ruchni.
Good, but the etzem hanashama is not the agdar of ruchni doesn't exist either. It's not, and with ruchni, if ruchni means a certain form of being, it's the Eibush is ruchni. It's beyond the definition of ruchni also. The ruchni is a certain type of being, a certain phase, a certain type of existence. The Eibush is before the whole idea of existence came into being. Before the idea came into being, so there's no musik of ruchni, there's no musik of gashmi.
Neshama is the same thing.
The etzem hanashama is one with the Eibishter himself. So punkt azevil gabi the atzmis of the Eibishter. There's no tzir. There's no the whole musik of pratim don't exist yet. There's the etzem hanashama is also shittis and such a ifin. Is one of such a ifin. Yeah. You heard the minion. Yeah. Imazem the shittik. It says kumeish b'chol neshama pratis. B'chinas hayichidah. Hinekuda ha'atzmi shel hanashama means the etzem husa inyan without aviyazeh. Etzem husa inyan. The etzem husa inyan, if without the definition, b'meila it's blig. The Rebbe is going to touch up later, but that's so. Al derech zeh b'neget to the chayis v'hanashama shel kol ha'ishtalshalos. There's the neshama of kol ha'ishtalshalos. Al derech zeh b'neget to a person. So you have what's melubash in his mayach. A person has keich haseichel. Lav dafke the whole keich haseichel is melubash in the mayach. The keich haseichel of the yid hat neshama with keich haseichel of the neshama, and this kenzen b'chlal is not mehr in his guf the seichel of the neshama. So the Eibush is the makar chayis from the Elamis. In this chayis of klolis ha'ishtalshalos, there was kelo the entire mitzvah Elamis in Elam Hazeh biz adam kadmin. So there's 4 madregis, and b'chinas hayichidah sheba b'chinas haShemashiach is etzem nekudas hachayis shel ma'ala miged tzir. The nekudas hachayis of a lakus higher than the whole category of tzir. Category of tzir and mitzias. Tzir is a very broad word. A form of being is already tzir. It's before the whole form of being. In andere word, the Rebbe Zog does the Mashiach is going to be this galus of the atzmius of a lakus. Any inyan outside of the Eibush himself, the shaykh is already to inyan of tzir and agdara. Besides for the etzem mamish, the etzem mamish is higher than any. The Eibush's etzem is higher than any inyan of tzir. And Mashiach Yiskel b'chinas yechidah is that till there's galus of Mashiach, the b'china, the chayis eliki, which is gal and velt, is Allah chayis, which has some relation to tzir. The velt is a davar mugbal, and the b'china of elukut, which is made in velt, is a b'china which has a shaykhis to some form of tzir, some type of agbala. Durch Mashiach with this gal and the b'china sa'etzem of elukut, which is higher than the whole gather of tzir. There's the mahus haneshama, the etzem haneshama, which is not only the carrier of all these keiches. It's samahus b'fnei atzmei, and this etzem, which is the marker for everything, but this etzem is the pchin of kesher telekos, or this mahus without a tzir. It's the mahus ha'inyan without a definition of was fara'ifin this is. So al derech zeh, there's the chayis alikis, which is melubash in velt. The chayis alikis, there was nevesh or neshama chayis. The chayis has a certain tzir. Chayis and a tzir of this never said before Shem Havaya is a tzir of higher than Zman. That's a certain tzir. There's certain mitzias which are mugbal in Zman. Shem Elokim Meshayches the Zman, let's say. Shem Havaya is higher than Zman. We're saying Mashiach is P'chines Yechida is the etzem of Elokus Shalamayla from the whole category of tzir. The Mahus of Elokus. Without a Invas Fara'if, this is. The whole definition of how is a later invention. Inside the etzem of Elokus himself, there's no nikud of this higher than the whole category of tzir. Yeah. Once you have nikud zu, so it's zweite Sache. Mit nikud zu, this is the Lepel steht in Hachassidus and says, you find the Rambam brings kama v'kama Inyonim nefloim, which are going to be b'shas Mashiach is going to come. So l'chora if the nikud of Mashiach is b'chnes yechida is the nikud sa'etzem of Elokus. The way the pnimius ha'inyan. And the way the Indian is beyond any definition, beyond any tzir. So vi Kuntres that you have so many biyot. There'll be Golas Yisrael from Golas. There'll be Shini Ma'aseh Bereishis. So the Rebbe says that that's not the Nikud is pshitas. All these names that we're mentioning before are nanim of tzir. It'll be Kedem es Hashem kiksavi. That's a certain Indian. You have Elokus. The Elokus is verbunden mit Teva. You have Elokus. The Elokus is higher than Teva. That's a certain phase beyond Teva. So that's the Indian prati. Legabi the Mashiach is M'chines Yechida, which is the etzem of Elokus, which is higher than any tzir. So the any tzir which is going to be doesn't express the nekuda of Elokus, which is beyond the whole category of tzir. But once you have this nekuda, the way the etzem is beyond the whole idea of tzir, so mistaf is kol ma'alas hapratius never shuach neshama chay the clothes. Once you have this muhus, ader muhus v'tes galaver. We can touch on more pratim later. But once this muhus is galaver. And this mohos has no hagdara at all. But mele, there's going to be all these Inyona which I mentioned earlier, as a titzah from the fact that you have this nekudas achayis that's beyond the whole tzir of Gvul. It says like this. First of all, etzem achayis ibulti mugbal. V'abli Gvul shelo ene rak b'inyan Seif on the Rebbe uptaichen. V'abli Gvul shelo ene rak b'inyan nitzchius she'inenu nitfas b'shinui hazman ki kol etzem bulti mishtana. Parshas Advarim, saying that the klal is kol ma sheyesh li tchila yesh li tichla. So if it's anything that stems from something else, it's not the etzem of everything, it's not the mohus, it's not the amitis amtzius, it's not the etzem, it stems from somewhere. So there's achalein doesn't have to be. It's ken yezen, it's ken yirzayin. It was nischadish. Anything that was brought into being, its existence is not inherent. It's not mechuyev amtzius. Only the etzem is mechuyev. Anything which is not mechuyev to be is shaykhs the same way it didn't have to be brought into being, it could stop also. Any inim which is not the etzem of Elokus is a davar mugbal. Davar mugbal is kanuf gardver. Only the etzem of Elokus is ein le tchila and ein le tichla. So b'shaz der etzem achayis v'tes galaver, when the world's going to become connected from vas v'tes galaver in Welt, the way we are mitzad etzem, mitzad yichida which is mitzad etzem, but mele the whole idea of gvul in the sense of kamos will be nisbat. Because kol etzem built in any nitzes shnei azman ki kol etzem built mishtana. It's an interesting zach. Shagam zeh matam shel asel yu chaim nitzchim. Why the whole meaning of misa will be nisbatel asel lavi? Why will be the nisbatel meaning of misa? Even according to the Rambam, that the shlemas haschar is going to be neshamas beli gufim. That's not because it's going to. That's something else. The ultimate ili is hafshata of guf. But l'ased lavi it'll be the bittul of inyan misa. Why bezman hazeh is there misa and there's hefsek? Because bezman hazeh the elamis are mekabel chayis from the dargis from the giluyim of the Eibishter. So the giluyim are also dvar mashashayches tashini. Only the same way they're dependent on something. They're not be'etzim. They don't be'etzim exist. You versteht the meaning? Yeah, but anything that was brought into being means that there was the be'etzem without creating it didn't exist. So if it didn't exist, that means that the same way it once wasn't, it's kanver neisechet. What's something which cannot be nisbatal? What's the davar nitzchi? Something that the fact that it exists is inherent in this mohus. that he's a Metzius. So that Metzius, if the fact that he's Kayim is an inherent thing in him, so it's not shaykh to say Inyan of Shinui, Inyan of Hefsek. So Bisman Azeh that the Elam is Mekabel Chay is that the Elam is only was far a Welt is this Gal Bisman Azeh. The Elam is the way they're connected to the Pchinas Hagiluim of the Eibishter, to lower dargas. So those dargas are not Inyona which are built in Mishtana. They're all Inyona. Everything's dependent on Ratzon Elyon. So since they're dependent, means they're be'etzem, they don't exist. If the Eibishter wouldn't bring them into being, they wouldn't be. So mitzat atzmam, they don't inherently exist. If they don't inherently exist, they're only here when we want them, so they could be cancelled. They're by definition not in Yonim Nitzchi. Mashiach the etzem itself is Nitzchi. So b'shas does touch them. So achshav shim shachol rak k'nesis pashtus achayis, which this pashtus is something which doesn't have to be. It's dependent on a marker. So yeshna in amisa. K'nesis battle there. Let's say when you get to the neshama and guf. See, the neshama is not shaykh in amisa by the neshama. Why? Because it didn't receive life from somewhere else. Its mahus is chayim. It's mahus is chayis. If it's mahus is chayis, it's be'etzem achai is not shaykh that it should be in his battle. The guf be'etzem is a shtik flesh. It was nischadish at a certain point in time that the neshama is mechayis. The same way it was nischadish once it's kind of battle vernechet. So that's ispash is a chayis which its existence is dependent on a makir. So there can be the bittul achayis. Prince by shaykh in nashini. Vad have to be kolain. Mashiach lo asat shiyim shach the etzem achayis, the etzem of elokus. So the etzem is that they call atzmi built mishtana. The etzem is he's the inherent being. He's the what brought everything else into being. So the fact that he exists, that's inherently the etzem is kaim. Azay inin is not shaykh to be nishtana. His existence is not dependent on a certain zman, a certain kufa. The fact that he exists is because be'etzem this is a davar nitzchi. The whole musik of heder doesn't exist. B'shas the world's going to be nisachid with the elements to the way they are mitzad etzem. So the whole musik of shinui and misa won't be shaykhis involved. I see always there is a chaim nitzchim. It's a chaim nitzchim. But leben afei chaim nitzchim. That's the expression of the fact that a yid's going to be nisachid with primis alakus. When nisachid with primis alakus, now with a darga mitzum tzemes, which is the fiar dechayilam. The darga with the primis of alakus, which is b'meila, does not shaykh in of misa v'shinui, because the etzem is bligvol. Al derech zeh, the head rakbalas etzem is not only the fact that the etzem is the mechuyev hametzius. He's be'etzem hazeh. It's not chazach. Gam b'din eiches v'amayla. Means every other metzius has a certain definition. It's not ultimate perfection. It's not the tachas hashlemus. There's a certain. This is any tzir, any darge pratis, any form of being. So he has a form, and he's not something else. There's a certain definition. You see, even Hachassidus has a bligvol, so he has the chisar that he can't be something which is too heichezach. So a tamid cotton is not a kedi for it. L'malam and azman says man is not a kedi for it. That's a certain agbala. Masha'ink in the etzem, which is beyond a certain form of being. So he's bligvol also in the sense, you know, eichos v'amayla. The gabe the eichos, the gabe the mayla. Shesholimu b'tachas hashlemus. It's not shaykh the whole musik of chisar in eichos advar. So l'chein shetumshach ba'ilm is b'chinas ha'yichida v'yuchi b'chayis atzmi b'shas velt betis achid ver. With which darga of chayis? With the etzem, with chayis atzmi, with the etzem of elokus. So you b'meila with hasa mayla v'ashlemus. The etzem is beyond the musik of mayla and shlemus. In what's b'shtei der etzem that he has all different types of qualities. It's not that he has all different qualities. Since the whole idea of gvul, the idea of a definition doesn't apply to the etzem, b'meila there's no limit in what type of maylas you get out from it. It's tachas hashlemus, but all zayin. So the world's going to be perfect. Today there's a certain hagbala in the chacham. Why will chacham be b'shlemus? Because if you have the etzem, which the etzem is not mugbal in muhus, in eichus, he has no definition to his being, to his maila. But maila, you can't say but he's beyond seichel. When you have the etzem, it overrides seichel. The etzem it has no definition at all. So the etzem is kedel everything, and everything in the most perfect form. So b'shas the velt is going to start living from the chayis of primis alukos. The seichel will be b'shleim. So yisach hacham delim be the ultimate seichel and the ultimate midas and the ultimate in everything. Be the ultimate shalom va'ava, all good things will be b'tachas hashlemus. Because the etzem has no definition, not the definition that he negates things. So there's not going to be any when you have the etzem b'meila, you have everything b'tachas hashlemus. Any inyan of Maila was Kenar Zayin, you have when you have mitzad ha'etzem. A davar mugbal is you only have what the inyan contains. So seichel contains seichel, but a mile of midas, let's say seichel doesn't contain. The etzem doesn't have a definition. So mitzad that you have ultimate perfection. It's an ala milas.
Now the giluyim are mailim on that.
Every gil is davar mugbal. Yeah, I'm saying Even bisman should be smid sheikayim. So they were saying even the Gavizan should be smid sheikayim. The reason why there was a hefsek, there was a gilul lukus, let's say, then there was nifsak. Why was there nifsak? Even then there was misa. Why was there misa then? Because the chayis ha'elam, it wasn't the skala yet the way the world is mitzad ha'etzem. The world wasn't a keli yet to the pnimius ha'chayis the way it is that the pnimius ha'lukus should be nizgala. The etzem ha'lukus should be nizgala in Welt. So which pchin ha'lukus is nizgala? Darga, which is the fi'er ha'elam. That darga, which is let's say a darga of chachma shalamayla. Chachma shalamayla is not a davar nitzchi. Chachma shalamayla is totally in ratzonality. Everything was nitzchadish. The Eibishim said that's mizam mucher chachma. So chachma is yesh le tchila, so mele yesh le tichla. Same way it could begin and could end. Mashegim b'shas, the world is going to be connected to the previous holocaust, to the etzem holocaust. So the whole musig of misal will be in his battle, and al derech zeh there will be no musig of chisarn. Everything will be b'tachas hashlemus. In every realm of Elam Hazan, every certain mile of Eskaner Zayin, that mile of Guf will be b'tachas hashlemus. When it's going to be when the chayis ha'etzem is going to be Meir Begoli. That was going to touch more practice later, but that's the Nukotis.
Instead of being a hella one, that's going to be
everything's going to be the way it is mitzad ha'etzem. Yeah. But what the Rebbe is touching here is mitzad ha'etzem, everything's going to be in a perfect way. Since it's not that mitzad ha'etzem, so there's no seichel will be blikvol. So the etzem is not blikvol. The etzem is the mohus of a lukus without any form of being. Mitzad that inyan, any form of reality is going to be b'shleimus. There won't be any defect in anything. Everything will be b'tachas hashleimus. Was noch kemol nicht gewähnt. Nothing will be in his battle. You have seichel b'tachas hashleimus. Midas b'tachas hashleimus. You have shalim and ave, v'reyos, and all of them b'tachas hashleimus. Any quality that exists today won't be cancelled. That in guf will be b'shleimus. Because the etzem is not, if the atzmius of a lukus was a certain form, let's say the Eibush is blikvol. When blikvol will be nesgale, but bottle veringvol. He said the Eibush is saying blikvol in the movement of echos. He has no definition of what type of being it is. It's the inyan of chayis without a definition of chayis. If something was said not even the definition of beyond, the mohusa inyan without any limit of how and what. Azastart inyan when it's nisgale doesn't negate anything. It's everything the way they are mitzad ha'etzem is b'tachas hashleimus.
Also now, the reason that everything exists is mitzad ha'etzem.
Good, but it's not begoli. Say that, that's the versteht sich. It's not bizgalus. Yeah, it's not bizgalus. That's going to be the ufta Mashiach is going to be that he's going to be mamshich this inyan begoli. Lamer zeh menigeit Hachassidus, and we'll go back somewhere. Lamer zeh der bezagta. So this is das recht menigeit Mashiach. Das nicht so pasha with the Rebbe sagt. Kamer leil mischarish lafas Hachassidus. Later the Rebbe is going to the inyan of Hafetz is not the diak right now. The inyan of what's Hachassidus. That's what we're going to the Hemshech HaKuntres, Rebbe is going to speak about why this is negeya Hafetz Hachassidus. Mischarish Hachassidus, which is bias HaMashiach, neidas mehusa. What's the mehusa of Hachassidus? It's kol achidushim shechassidus chitsha. B'teira keilul havas, b'teira many inyanim, but keilul havas chilek aseicha v'ol yedei gilui. Yeah, till was one of the main inyanim when you get to Torah with Hachassidus Tuvketan. The till is galas Hachassidus. The Torah Kabbalah was only shaychus yechidus gula, and through the gilei Hachassidus, so the Alter Rebbe was mamshech halakus in seichel. Even the Baal Shem Tov was megale inyanim of seidus HaTorah in a way that even pshutei hamein am are able to be teifus. Chilek aseit b'ol yedei gilui. B'neget havedas ha'adam an hagel l'fnei mishur sadin, or shini teva amidus. B'chlodos ha'elam is eris meis alphas. So it's like this. Einam chidushim shkol echad v'echad mischadishu b'fnei atzmi. It's not that the Mashiach through the Baal Shem Tov but was aufgetan ein Zach Meir given Welt von seines Alphas. And then he also did another inyan. The Baal Shem, the same person also accomplished Gilei Chelik HaSeich B'Torah. And the same person also made a Psanuch Chiddush in Aveda. You have one person, say someone is say Gadol Amas. He did a lot of accomplishments. He accomplished many things. It's not each one is a separate inyan, but there's selber mensch with the same Nesiya Hachassidus haben aufgetan die alle Sachen. It's nicht das. Ki im Hachassidus ist chayis chodesh. Hachassidus is megala nu chayis. Chayis chodesh. Chayis atzid b'chinas yechida. Chassidus is the ascholas hagilui of the chayis the way it is inside the etzem. The rest of it's going to be nizgal in shleimus, and that's going to be the mitzvah of welt. We're going to breathe that chayis. But the type of chayis which is going to be nimshach begoli, that type of chayis started to be nizgal through the zgalas of Teres Chassidus.
And new in the sense that it wasn't that yet Gili ever?
Yeah, not only wasn't Gili, means it wasn't. You say the word Gili, not that it existed regularly, but we didn't know about it. Yeah, that's a famous thing. I'm saying it says when you get to the famous Maisa, when you get to the Magid. It's not raised the Maisa. The Magid was not the Magid the Seif. I'm sorry that he was there's a stark gehar of it. He had a psakashi. He was working for a very long time, a couple of weeks, and then he was walking by a little class with a Malamed and a shtibel, and he heard a little boy learning the Gemara. He asked the same shal that the Seif asked, and the Malamed thought for 3 seconds, and he gave him the teres that it took him 3 weeks to work. And he had a chlish sadas that the Megal Temel Maila that till this inyan was nizgala, so it didn't exist in Seichel Anushi this inyan. The din lamaila had gehad this klarkeit in the Elam Aitzira, but in Elam Asiya this idea didn't exist yet. So it's not even if it's mechadish achidish. Not only we were got till now we didn't know about it. That the chidushim that maybe for zeicha to do. I'm saying the Alter says the other chidush is that's a gili, but is that's a uftu. But I mean the parsha dvarim is the idea existed, and like this melamed was mechadish something in his mind. He didn't hear about it before, but the idea already existed. He thought he concentrated and he got it. Mashiach the Beis Yosef, the inyan didn't exist in Seichel of Elam Hazeh. Das Mamsha given from Elam Aitzira there to Elam Asiyah, or the Maggid that would hold the Davar Gashmi when he had to be matfisir in Elam Hazeh the inyan. So that's not just the etzem is atzmos, but it should be Meir that the world should contain this inyan. That it should be shaykhs to welt, it should be a reality in our world. It's beyond the whole category of reality altogether. And the inyan of Metzias didn't contain this chayis, the way it is inside the etzem, which is beyond any definition. So the Chassidus, the Baal Shem Tov, without Rebbe, and Ongev Megala Zaina a chayis, which is the chayis ha'etzem, that it should start being, that the world should contain this etzem. That's not just a pasha. There was shlavim in this inyan. Baal Shem Tov, the Talmid of Baal Shem Tov, is a whole seder. It's not that, and the Shlemos will be when Mashiach comes. That's going to be the world's going to become one with this chayis. That's going to be the pasha. The Metzias Ha'elam is going to function based on this chayis. Today, the world b'chitzayni yusay is not functioning based on the fact that it's maybe certain things behelim. But I'm saying begoli, a person doesn't wake up in the morning and the chayis that he's living off begoli is the chayis of Yechida of Pnimis Halakus. You were able to access to have ashpa from this chayis. It's able to be nimshach on a person. To the limit of Chassidus, it was nimshach in welt, but there's one thing being nimshach in welt, and another thing is that the world becomes programmed according to the Pnimis Chayis. Thus is Shleimus Lasid. So the Rebbe says here that Chassidus see Chayis Chodesh. Chayis is the Chayis that's beyond. It's not an Inyan Prati. It's not a tzir. The Mahus Elukus. Elukus be Adavar Atzmi, not a definition, not a certain B'chinas Yechida. But then the Kasher Chayis Chodesh Zeh Shel Chassidus Nimshach Ba'elam. When this new Chayis, so it was Nimshach in Welt. Let's just get the back for a second. So not that it negated other things. Every aspect that ever existed was nischadish. Aveda Sa'ad Bitter Amidis existed before. When Chassidus, when a chayis chodesh and b'chinas ha'etzem is nimshach gavar in welt, so that inyan gufa became perfected, became b'shleimus. Means we're going to see later pratim. The etzem is meir in every inyan lefi zayin tzir. Aveda Samidis is there's the way Avedas HaMidus is mitzad etzem. Not the mitzad etzem. There's no concept of midus because the etzem is bligvol. The etzem is not bligvol. The etzem is ultimate, without any definition. So you have every inyan stays that inyan. It's Avedas HaMidus, but you have Avedas HaMidus the way it's perfected, and the way it is, the way midus are as a result of the etzem. What is Avedas HaMidus in result of the etzem, or what is seichel in result of the etzem? Seichel, Havana Saterim, result of the etzem is that B'chinas HaSeid is Bali the Gili. Kabbalah comes to the Gili. That's a result. B'chinas HaKabbalah being Nizgala, that's in Seichel, it's in Prati. But it's Seichel mitzad the fact that there's Nizgala Sa'etzem. So now how is Seichel as a result of the fact that the etzem is Meir? How does Seichel respond? When it's Meir in it, the pnimius of what Seichel is. So in B'shas the etzem is begilui. So how does Seichel respond with the etzem is begilui and Seichel? That the B'chinas HaSeid is Bali the Gil. And how is Avedis HaMidis when the etzem is begoli in Midis? That the Shan is Teva Midis, not just Midis Vativ. And all these Inyona. Schilu kol Inyona elam lichis b'chayis chadash chayis chas. U'b'meilu is chashav v'kama Inyona. There's new Inyonim in this chadash. Not only that those Inyona, the way they were before, were perfected in a whole different eifin. They all became the way they are, the way the Rebbe said before. Say, since the etzem is a davar nitzchi, it's not shaykh enough hefsik, so it'll be chaim nitzchim. So we're not going to say it's going to be in this battle, the idea of life. The concept of life, the way it is a result of the etzem. What's life as a result of the etzem? So life is not mukbal. So Alder is going to get everything, and then there'll be neschadish nu in yanatak. The same you say someone is going to you say someone has a keich haseichel in his meich, and there'll be a new is galus of keich haseichel from the previous never should be this gal in his meich. So there'll be new in yanam. His seichel is going to work better. It'll be new in yanam. So Alder is b'shas. There'll be this gal the chayis of etzem anashama. So not only the inyanim that we had till now are going to be in a whole different darga than the way they were before. They're going to be the way they are mitzad the etzem. But it'll be neschadish tak a new inyanim. New inyanim that were neschadish. But all derech hamela. Understand just the brackets. So kasher chayis chod elam versteht the minyan. Kasher chayis choder zeh shel Hachassidus nimshel. There was going to touch up more prat in the. Das mit den Zeh. Kasher chayis choder zeh shel Hachassidus nimshel ba'elam. Teres Hachassidus eklolis adi kikishus abal shem magid b'chulu. Tamidi amagid. V'achar kach is another stage. Teres Hachassidus Chabad. Adi anashama chadosha. Gad marazakim ba'al simcha v'geula. So mainly everything else started to live in a whole different life. Yeah. Was in a paradox. Was in a paradox. You get weiter in the Lama in a paradox. Let's do artists when we get to this Indian first. Okay, these are artists of 43, 44. We'll do them after we learn the none of the Rebbe's environment will be more clear. Yeah.
Numbers can be different.
What do you mean?
Some different prints, different numbers. Yeah, I have different.
Oh, there's different artists. Okay. Yeah. So 43, 44. So I don't know what to tell you here. But there's an order that starts Eid Ibrahim Vaydaber Taper Sadik Tesram. Sham.
Yeah.
Aber selber dort steht.
$10.
The Eid Ibrahim Vaydaber. This is the Fidiker brings from the Ramaz that Ramaz says the Mashiach Yiskel L'Pchinas Yechida. So Fidiker brings that Shepnimis HaTeira that Mashiach is going to teach is Mitzad Pchinas Yechida Shabbat. The Rebbe brings a mocker is this. It's like in the Pnim Azay that Hachassidus Chayis Chodesh Pchinas Yechida. And Azay steht in the Maimer in Taper Sadik Tes. Behemshach Lezed the Mashiach is Pchinas Yechida. Dort steht that Pnimis HaTeira, which is going to be Izgalu Time Teira, is Izgalu for Mashiach. That's Mitzad Pchinas Yechida Shabbat. That's going to be the Izgalus. Means the Hachassidus is the Izgalus of the Pchina of Yechida. Oh, then there means like this. We know that Achia Shileni was Rabbi Shel Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov was the Meyaseh Teres Hachassidus, Pnimis HaTeira, which is Me'ain Pnimis Teres Izgalu Asid Love. And the Achia Shileni is called Nikra B'Shem Baal Chai Yechida. As it steht. So you see that there speaks in another artist somewhere. What's the Shaykh as Achia Shileni punct to the Inyona of his Galas Hachassidus? There brings a beer from Divrei Mechayev. Why there's a connection to, but upon him it brings sich in Sfarim that Achia Shileni is called Baal Chai Yechida. So Mezet Achia Shileni, which was Rabbi Shel Baal Shem Tov Tarim Torah, you see that the Torah Hachassidus, which was taught through Achia Shileni, is connected to Pchinas Yechida. Because he's called Baal Chai Yechida, and he was the rabbi, he was the one that the Makar of Hachassidus stammed from Achia Shileni. Chen Rosh Alf Yisrael Shebechol Der Nesim Shegilu Teres Hachassidus in Pchinas Yechida Yikol Shekol Yisrael. Good. But then there brings in the Pnim V'achar Kach Teres Hachassidus Chabad. So it means Teres Hachassidus Gufa v'zeh shehevis Hachassidus Lavana v'Asagad Chabad Gilos Etzem Pnimis HaTorah. Yeah, there's darkness. So you see that Hachassidus Shechayis Chodesh and Pchinas Etzem. You have the Etzem the year since Galdos through the Baal Shem Tov, and the Shleimus is Galdos Etzem was through Hachassidus Chabad Afke. The Rebbe brings Mekeiris that the fact that the Alter Rebbe was Mamshech Hachassidus and Seichel, Teres Hachassidus and Seichel, so that's mit dem the Alter Rebbe Mamshech given the Atzmius of the Teres Baal Shem Tov. Is the famous word that the Barditchever said that all the other Talmidim they had the Alter Rebbe took the Gedichte or the Smetanus. So everybody else took the Chassidus Bechlal is galus of a chayis of etzem anasham, but in that itself, there's the etzem pnimius of this, the mahus of this. It means that the etzem is mehr the ganze take if that Alter Rebbe genommen. So dafke in Chassidus Chabad, there you have the Indian of this chayis chodosh in the atzmis of pnimius atayr. Okay, there's different views. We'll see the Rebbe's Mitzvah to look at this Chadik Dal. The Rebbe's Mevayer, the Alter Rebbe said that he's an enikel of the Baal Shem Tov, and that the Alter Rebbe is a deeper enikel than the Baruch. So that's in the Sikha why the fact that Alter Rebbe is Mamshech in Nasaga has to do with the fact that is that the atzmis of Teres of Baal Shem Tov is his Gala. Yeah. In order 48, the Neshama Chadasha. So let me say ourselves stuff shen hedat was neshama chadash, and here there was mitzayin elok the Torah shel hashirim bepirish inin neshamas chadashes. And so say what neshama chadash means. So some taish neshama chadash means that all the other neshamas were here once begilgul. Neshamas amal geven. Every neshama that's now bismanenu was here once already. Ne'elam hazeh. It's the second round for a couple of rounds. The Alter Rebbe's neshama was a new neshama. It's kemul neshnim shegavar in Welt. But the Rebbe brings him to the Torah. The Rebbe is not saying that he was neshama chadash. This the Baal Shem Tov said there's nimshach neshama chadash. But the Rebbe is mitzayin. The guy by this Inyan to what the Alter Rebbe said to the Torah neshama chadash means it's a neshama from a higher darga. All the other neshamas were nichlal benishmas adam rishon. Saying the darga the neshama chadash means a neshama from a higher elam, a neshama from pnimius alukos, from pnimius atik that wasn't nimshach through nishmas adam rishon. So one of the Chassidim said that all neshamas were nichal and nishmas adam rishon, and each neshamas is Yaakov. That's some means the Yaakov is the parts of adam rishon was the parts of tzir kemikolis of all neshamas, and every neshama is a prat in the tzir kem of adam rishon. So Kuntres that all neshamas had to do with chetei tzadas because adam rishon went through the chetei tzadas, and all neshamas were nichal in this neshama. Saying the Alter Rebbe's neshama chadash, the Alter Rebbe's neshama is from a higher darga. So it wasn't a prat in nishmas adam rishon. So a new a darga pnimius atik that wasn't nimshach in Welt. Be'etzem is the neshama sheshayach to lasid lavi, and b'meil the Alter Rebbe's neshama is higher than the chet. That's the psavartum that the Rebbe doesn't bring this here, but the Rebbe just brings the etzem minion that the pshat neshama chadash is like the Alter Rebbe says in Shir Hashirim that it's from a higher pchina in gans. All the other neshamas from a lower darga. You know, it's some Ma'aser that was once, I remember exactly the details, but to be able to say the story, that once there was a conversation, maybe it was a night of Yechidus, and there was a specific kuach, when I said that figure said, Alter Rebbe Neshama Chadasha, what does it mean Neshama Chadasha? Does it mean Neshama Chadasha that Alter Rebbe explains the Torah, that it's some higher than Pchinas Adam Rishon, Pnimis HaKeser? Or it's Neshama Chadasha means that was never Nimshach in Welt? It's the same sort of mocker from all the Neshamas. Pchinas Adam Rishon, but Sachakal was in the Sachakal, but it wasn't Nimshach in Welt. So back and forth, and someone asked the Rebbe said, "Why is it manafkim minute to you and Abayas Hashem? What's the nafkim minute or something?" But here the Rebbe is not signed to the Torah. Shinashinim. Good. Lamer Zen. Same thing in R49. The same likud as before. Laharim is Ashach Haguli Teskislev. She'oz Haye Iker Inin Eslapshas Hachassidus. The Alter Rebbe Gufet. The Alter Rebbe's Shittas Chabad started. And the Alter Rebbe was very young. The Rebbe says that the Yisayidus started. And the Alter Rebbe was mamish 15, even before he went to the Magid. But said the Chag Haguli Teskislev. She'oz Haye Iker Inin Eslapshas Hachassidus B'Seichel. Told them more and more in the way of Eir. And the Eslapshas started Iker after Teskislev. And the idea Eslapshas Zu. Slapshas and Seichel Mizbata etzem the Pnimius HaTorah. So that's Rosh Hashanah l'Chassidus. Why is Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah u'b'china klolis. U'bei nimshach emek u'pnimius atzmus in Tzav Baruch Hu. There is state in Chassidus Rosh Hashanah why you called Reish, because it's the Amshacha from Pnimius atzmus Rosh Hashanah. Everything's Chesed l'Kadmusam. So there's a Chassidus you related to Rosh Hashanah because Chassidus has to do with Pnimius etzem. Good. That's when we get to what the problem is. We'll learn we'll see Seif Zayin and maybe just too fast this order. The order when get to this manin. Me the minion. Can we learn this? We'll just see the order 29. And I'm going to get to Shini Chidish and Ma'aseh Bereishis. So the Rebbe brings here that in the Pnim that loss of the Shini Chidish and Ma'aseh Bereishis. It means mitzayin that to Rambam Seif Hilchos Malachim. No, I'm sorry. What is that on? That's on the Ketah before. I don't have the number. The next order. Re'ir Rambam Sham that Ba'aseh Azman Li'iyah won't be kinna Chol Madanim Atzim Ka'afar. That's the Chura Shinui in Hagei Shaleilam. I'm saying today in the world, there's Madanim Atzim Ka'afar. There's a certain aratzes that are Mesugol Leheitzi Tzmachim, and there's not Madanim Atzim Ka'afar. I'm saying there's a limit in order to for the resources the world has to be able to come out. And the Madanim Atzim Ka'afar is a Shinui in Ma'aseh Bereit, a Shinui in the way the world functions. Afle Daite the Begarv Ze'ev Moshalu. That I'm verstehen, but they're saying Chol Madanim Atzim Ka'afar is from the Rambam's mashma, it's not a Shinui in Teva Abriya, but it's for sure a Shinui in the way the world functions. I mean, Hagei Shaleilam. It's interessant. This Raya usually, the Rambam says in this halacha gufi, the Rambam is saying that there won't be any Shinui, Elam Kamen Hagei Neig, and the Rambam brings that there won't be Kinnis Sinah v'Chol Madanim Atzim Ka'afar. So the Rebbe is saying, even if we're going to say that it's not considered a Shinui in Hagei Shaleilam, it's not a change in the nature, the Payal, even according to the Rambam, there's going to be a certain Shinui in how the world functions. Vim vet is not uptaichen, but the Payal, it's a certain, After, Ahas kam la de, Chini Hachras, Teres HaKabbalah v'Hachassidus, that Dvarim Kepshutam, Gars Zevim Keves, so the wolf is going to have a different nature, Allah Sallallahu. Ein Gang in Raivit, so the Raivit's chilik on the Rambam, and he holds Vishbati Chayram, the Rambam brings that there won't be a Shir Hagei Shaleilam also in Hilchos Tshuva, so the Raivit says there that brings Rayis, it says Vishbati Chayram in Aretz, that Chayra won't be Mashbis and Shalei Azika, that's a Shir Hagei Shaleilam. The Teva of the Chayis Reis is that they're Mazik, and La'asid Love, the Pasuk says in Chumash, Vishbati Chayram in Aretz. So the Raivit paskins that there will be a Shir Hagei Shaleilam. And Chassidus is Machriya like the Raivit. Yes, interessant. The Rambam, this halacha, the Be'ez Ezman, there won't be kinnas, sin of Betachrus, and Yidin will be Chacham Gdil, and the Rambam brings it twice in Sefer Ayal. Once in Hilchas Malachim, there the Rambam is being metayir how the world's going to look l'Asid Lavi. Hilchas Tshuva, the Rambam brings it for a different reason. Hilchas Tshuva, the Rambam read there, and when you get the Schar Mitzvahs, the Rambam speaks in Hilchas Tshuva, that the ultimate Schar is going to be Neshamas B'li Gufim. And the Rambam fragt, if the ultimate Ilui is Dveikus Ruchnis and not Dvarim Gashmim, so why is the Torah Meirich so much on Yehudim Gashmim? It'll be food and drink and all these other types of things. So the Rambam says there that that's not the ultimate schar. Torah is just saying that if a person doesn't have brios, so we can't learn Torah b'kahigen. You can't learn Torah b'miluchas adas. So the Eibush is saying that la'aseh you're able to learn Torah without any minis v'ikuvim. And what do you gain by learning? What's the schar? The schar is schar ruchni take. Pasuk is just saying that if Yidden are going to be Mekabel El Torah v'Yizar Zayin, the Eibush will take away all the hafrais dadis. So when Torah speaks of Yudim Gashmim, is not for the sake, not because this is the ultimate mila of the chshivas of Torah mitzvahs. It's just the Eibush is promising that if a Yid is going to Zich Ibrigam Torah v'Yizar Zayin, he'll take away El Derech Eretz, he'll take away all Meniz v'Ikuvim. So B'hem Shchal Zeh, the Rambam says that that's why Chachamim wanted Mashiach. Why? Now they wanted Mashiach because the Yishatu HaKol Ha'elam and all these things. They wanted Mashiach in order to have a Sagas Elokus B'Shleimus. So the Rambam brings it for different reasons. In the Hilchas Malachim, the Rambam brings this halacha that last level will be Shleimus Hadas and there won't be Kinnis Sin of Etachros in order to be entire how the world's going to be Mashiach comes. Mashiach Hilchas Tshuva is Bavarnig as Ashayla. Once he explained why that the Schar Gashmi is just a Zayte Gezach, he also, the Fiz will understand why Chachamim wanted the Mesa Mashiach. But the Ravid is Masig Hilchas Tshuva. So there is, and the Chassidus passing like the Ravid. But the Bleib Shaila, and the Rebbe doesn't just is Maramis, that there's Shailas on the Rambam. The Ravid's Kasha, Ishvati Chayram and Aretz, and there's other Shailas that the Rishonim ask. It says, Ulef Shalemer Lechemer Inin HaKapana B'dechek. The Rebbe has another Shaila, you know this. The Sichel Chavdar has another Shaila. The Rambam hold one of the Gimel Ikrim is Tches HaMesim, even though it's not brought in Sefer Ayad, but the Rambam means one of the Gimel Ikrim, and Tches HaMesim is a sure Shinui in Hagei Shaleilam. How could the Rambam say that there won't be a Shinui? Tches HaMesim is sure is a Shinui. And the Rambam L'Shitasi holds that Tches HaMesim, according to the Rambam, Tches HaMesim is not going to be Be'elef HaShvi. According to the Rambam, Tches HaMesim is the ultimate, is going to be Be'elam HaTchiyah. So Tches HaMesim has nothing to do with the Mesa Mashiach. Tches HaMesim is going to be Bizman, the Schar of Elef HaShvi. According to the Ravid, the Ramban, the ultimate schar is going to be in the Shamas and Gufim. According to the Rambam, the ultimate schar is going to be in the Shamas B'li Gufim. Tches HaMesim is going to be b'Mesa Mashiach. So according to the Rambam, how do you explain that there will be Tches HaMesim and there won't be a Shirim Hagei Shaleilam? So Uli Shem Nechemer Inyan, the Gamla Rambam based Kufis, La'achar Shabbat Mashiachu. Yeah, is that bekannt? There's Cheskas Mashiach. When is Cheskas Mashiach? And which stage?
Which stage?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yamid Melech and Beis David. Vinatzeach.
No.
You sure?
I don't think so.
That's Negela Meister. That was the.
I think Bein Hamikdash from Keme is.
No, that's Mashiach
no,
Vadi is
okay.
after Bin
He
Hamikdash.
says, I used to call Zev,
That's where they.
Nitzach Kolevis is Tzviva.
Check it.
The Rambam. Okay.
Zev says, Savi, can Tzech L'Kama B'hem.
Huh?
Zev says, Savi, can Tzech L'Kama
Was steht in der Rambam? I kapon, but the Stutkov is lachrish Vadi Mashiach. Bin in Hamikdash will be in a state of Cheskas Mashiach. Only after Bin Hamikdash becomes
Right,
Mashiach.
after Kibbutz Galuyos.
After Bin Hamikdash becomes Mashiach.
After Kibbutz Galuyos. Well, first he's
After Bin Hamikdash,
successful in all the Bechazka stuff. He builds with
Bring everybody back.
Then he just Kibbutz Galuyos.
Right.
He's a-
Bin Hamikdash Kabbas and Chisar. Right. Good. We'll have Shlemer L'Chemer Inyona kapon, but we'll bring Gates also in Mashiach now.
Whole thing that we
So we can bring in the we'll have Shlemer L'Chemer kapon. Gam Ram Beis Kavas Lachrish Vadi Mashiach. Umala haaretz deya bitkufa rishayna tegula. B'chol ha'perek she'Ram Hashem adar bitkufa zuk. V'shaz l'chashuv bereket Hashem Mashkom Lars Deis Meir bitkufa Shelim Kuna Ginei. Yeah. Mashiach will be another tkufa that Ram doesn't mention in Seif yet, but there's going to be another tkufa. V'piz yesh atas kushel lechamishna. Okay, this shaila have to know the shaila, and time. Okay, this. Oh, I give schilsek all the email was is class is maybe some leads leads mehr gedaan. Ga ik maar na met je khidish beilen, dus we dat kids have to know the gemara. Okay, well, nicht abhalten. You have to know the gemara